Here we go. Foam Foot 420. Fear the Deer. Hector Gomez, what is up? Louisa, good morning.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is a Monday. It is a glorious Monday if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan or a Houston Astros fan. If you're a Team USA men's Olympic basketball fan, we'll talk about all of it. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney on a Monday, July 12th, 2021. Praise Tom Landry. We draw nearer and nearer to NFL training camps and both the NFL and college football seasons. Thank God. And, of course, the Olympics, which we just mentioned. Very special soundscape stylist today and tomorrow. We'll introduce him to you in a little bit. But first of all, Shannon Salty Sweeney, how was your weekend?
It was fantastic. I watched a lot of soccer. I didn't think I'd be watching that much, but there were some pretty top-notch matches throughout the weekend, so it was pretty relaxing.
Yeah, lots of. Are you becoming more of a soccer fan now that you're an Austin FC partisan?
No, I grew up playing the sport and have been interested. I think it's always been hard. The MLS is just now kind of bursting more so than it was when I was growing up. So I've always loved international soccer. And of course, with these summer tournaments that we missed out on last year, there's been plenty to watch. There'll be plenty more once the Olympics get going. We finally saw Messi raise one up for his country after, it felt like Ronaldo maybe had the one up on him. And who's the greatest in that debate? USA got underway last night in their Copa or CONCACAF tournament, beating Haiti. And then, of course, that heartbreaker for England as they lost some penalties to Italy. But a great weekend for soccer. And Austin FC being around town doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you had the European Championship, you had the Copa, you had the South American thing going on, and then you had Team USA getting underway and winning in soccer. As I mentioned, though, Team USA in basketball, ouch, a loss to Nigeria. We will get into that. And, not a lot of people saw that coming. I think they beat Nigeria by some god-awful number several years ago, but we'll get into all of that coming up. Of course, last night, the Milwaukee Bucks keep it from being a sweep. Obviously, it wouldn't have been a sweep if they lost last night. It would have been 3-0, but virtually nobody ever comes back from 3-0. So I don't want to yet say, Shannon, that Milwaukee made it a series. I think if they win Game 4 tomorrow night and make it 2-2, it's a series. If Phoenix comes away with Game 4 tomorrow night and goes back to Phoenix up 3-1, I think that's kind of where Phoenix wants to be. And while I'm sure they would have liked the sweep, they would then be gearing toward trying to win the thing in 5 on their home floor if they can take the 3-1 lead. All of a sudden, though, last night, Giannis once again, a big performance, scoring over 40 points. He had 41 points, 13 rebounds. He got a little help last night from Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and others. So at 2-1 now, some people will say we've got ourselves a series. I will hold my judgment on that until Wednesday night, game number 4.
I mean, the NBA loves it. NBA fans love it. And the networks, of course, love it when these things go out longer, right? Because the hope is that we get a game 7, at least if you're not necessarily a fan of either team. But you're right. I think maybe 5 will do it here. And I don't know, that was a huge surprise that they were able to get 1 on their home floor. I think it's surprising to see what Giannis is doing after we all watched what happened to his leg, but he definitely got the help of Drew Holiday, who really stepped up last night. Chris Middleton was a little mediocre, but he did enough. And then of course the awful shooting night from Devin Booker, I think really assisted. And for as great as Giannis was, I think he had a lot of help from the Suns lacking in areas where they usually do just fine.
Yeah, you mentioned Devin Booker, 3 out of 14 from the field. That's very un-Devin Booker, like 1 of 7 from three-point country. He just had 10 points. He was a minus 13 in the plus minus, as was Chris Paul. Chris Paul, decent from the field at 8 of 14, but just 1 of 4 from 3. He needed a lot of help. And you kind of, when you've got Devin Booker and Chris Paul on and doing their thing, then the Suns are tough. You mentioned, just an awful night for Devin Booker. That made it very, very difficult for them. And the Bucks take game number 3, 120-100. As I mentioned, game number 4 will be Wednesday night again in Milwaukee, as Milwaukee will try to even that series at 2-2, and the Suns trying to take a 3-1 lead, which would be commanding, sending it back to Phoenix for game number 5 in either event. I saw you tweeting about it yesterday, Shannon. It was glorious. Jose Altuve and the Houston Astros. They score 6 runs in the 9th. They go into the 9th down by 5 runs. Jose Altuve with a 3-run walk-off home run to propel the Houston Astros into the All-Star break, and it is all punctuated by, and very funny that it was against the same team that the controversy began when Jose Altuve a few years ago hits that home run against the New York Yankees and doesn't want them to tear his jersey off, and everybody goes, see, he's wired, he's got a wire, that's why he doesn't want them tearing his jersey off. Well, they tore his jersey off yesterday at Minute Maid Park, and as you tweeted out, no wires to be seen attached to Jose Altuve.
It was a storybook ending to that game yesterday. Of course, just the day prior, we had a couple of Aggies running the bases who were making fun of that World Series moment, right, where they were clutching their jerseys saying, don't take it off, don't take it off. And then for that to happen, and the greatest part is that one thing with Jose is so humble, right? He's never gonna be the guy to put a dagger in anyone's back, and he just ran the bases as normal. It was his teammates who took off the shirts, and he, appeared from the bottom of the dog pile shirtless. After that, not a grand slam, but there were 2 on base, so that three-run homer yesterday. A great win for the Astros. Also, the time very serendipitous. I just finished watching England lose in their tournament, so to change channels and to see that happen was a fantastic moment, and very happy for the Astros, and off to the All-Star break we go.
And if you hate the New York Yankees, and a lot of people do, they made history yesterday. This is you think of the storied history of the New York Yankees that goes decades and decades and decades and decades back, and arguably, they're the Dallas Cowboys of Major League Baseball. They're the team to beat. There's the team everybody either loves or hates or loves to hate. But this is the first season in the history of the New York Yankees that they have lost multiple games when leading by 4 or more runs entering the 9th inning. They did this on June 30th against the LA Angels and lost. They did it last night yesterday against the Houston Astros and lost. And just this season, Major League Baseball teams, when leading by 4 or more runs entering the 9th inning, just this season, they are 493-2. That is a percentage of .996. Those 2 losses this year in Major League Baseball, 493-2. Both of those losses, Shannon, are by the New York Yankees. So, for those of us, and I'm one of them, who's not a big Yankees fan, this is a kind of a fun season thus far to watch them go through a little bit of hell.
That's a horrible stat. And we usually get the stat late in games, right, where it says, when this team is up by this inning or when they're up by this many this late in the game,
Contest coming.
winning is incredibly high. And if you're playing the Yankees, you have to always feel like you have a chance. That's never too late.
And especially the Yankees. You would think, my goodness, they're a team that's going to be covering themselves when they have that big lead going into the ninth. All right, it is 6:20. We're going to do this. We've been doing this at 20. We do it throughout the day at the 20s, 12 times throughout the day, twice on this show at 6:20 and 7:20. It's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest, and somebody's going to win $1,000. In fact, over the 4 weeks that we're doing the contest, we're giving away $228,000. You're going to get a keyword. You take that keyword. We'll tell you where to text it. You text it, and you're in the running for $1,000. Here comes the keyword.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword WIN to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's WIN to 200-200.
Win. I hope you win. Shannon hopes you win. The Astros win. The Bucks win. Team USA in Olympic basketball. It was just an exhibition, but they lost to Nigeria. We'll get into that. We should probably, since he fired off that keyword promo, we should probably introduce our soundscape stylist. We don't have him very often. We get him on rare occasion, but we're always happy to have him. He is the nephew, in my mind, of, and I've got a weird mind, of Hall of Fame NFL quarterback Dan Fouts. He is the fabulous boy wonder, Jeremy Fouts. Jeremy, how you doing this morning?
What's up, guys? I would like to wish both of you a very happy paper bag day. So if you can find a way to use a paper bag, today, July 12th, is the day to do so.
You know, I hear you say that, Jeremy, and you say when you can find a way to use a paper bag. As soon as I heard you say paper bag, one of my first thoughts was the prank that a lot of people like to pull, or kids do anyway. They will put some doggy do in a paper bag, put it on the front porch, light it on fire, in hopes that someone will come out and stomp on that paper bag to put the fire out. You ever done that, Jeremy?
No, but today sounds like a good day to start.
Woo!
Yeah.
Shannon, you said no. You just
That's no.
Yeah. That is kind of a thing, though, and used to be a Halloween thing.
You
I
should
think.
be worried about your child if that's what they're doing in their free time.
Well, better that than like killing animals, because if your child kills little animals, then they're probably going to be a serial killer. That's
But
a
I feel
marker
like
for a serial killer.
That's the first step in that process.
Ooh, so before your child
Going that route.
kills animals, they'll put some doggy do or worse, maybe some other kind of do into a paper bag and light it on fire. I'm not recommending that. Happy paper bag. Thank you, Jeremy, for the paper bag day, because I didn't know what special day this was. And is it national or international?
It just says paper bag day.
Just
so
paper bag day.
We don't know, but it
Okay.
is
Browns fans
national.
know about that.
Woo!
True.
True.
It is National Pecan Pie Day. I almost said pecan.
Yeah, it goes both ways in Texas. I like me some pecan pie. I can live with it.
It is National Eat Your Jello Day.
Eat your
So
Jello.
like Jello. And International Town Criers Day.
Well, are there still town criers out there?
I didn't think so, but they have a day, and it was made in 1997.
My goodness.
So I guess so, but I didn't think those were still a thing.
I thought the Walmart greeter kind of took the place of the town
That's
crier.
true.
Sort of.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
They greet you, and they don't usually give you the news, but they're a
Yeah.
friendly face, and they're literate. So
Very nice. So, Jeremy, we don't see you that much. How's your summer going? You disappeared for a while. There was a week when I think something happened, and they said, "Well, maybe Jeremy will fill in." No, he can't. No, he won't. In fact, the boss man, I think Brian Gann had to fill in because Jeremy Fouts was.
Right.
Did you leave the city? Did you go on vacation? What'd you do?
Over the 4th of July weekend, I went to the city of Dallas and hung out with some friends there.
Nice.
Saw some crackheads.
Crackheads.
It's a very interesting city. Very, very interesting city, that city of Dallas. Saw a guy with a picture of JFK's autopsy head out in a binder in front of a bunch of kids. That was interesting.
Now, was that at Dealey Plaza, the site of the
It was.
Kennedy assassination?
Yes. So
Did you take the tour? Did you go to the Assassination Museum?
I've been there before, so I didn't go there this time.
Okay. So what were you doing hanging around Dealey Plaza? That's not I mean, you have to choose to go to that area. That's not like a go-to place in Dallas.
Yeah, one of my buddies wanted to see it, and I wasn't the social director for that trip. I was very passive. I was just chilling, so I was like, okay, sure. And so we went to Dealey Plaza, and the guy was showing a bunch of kids JFK's destroyed head.
Oh,
so that was nice.
Wow.
That's pretty much it. That's all I did that whole weekend.
Well, thanks for the bizarre story.
You're welcome,
Jeremy.
I
appreciate it.
Thank you to the city of Dallas for giving me the opportunity to share that.
Absolutely. Shannon, you're a Dallas Mavericks fan and a Cowboys fan, as I am a Cowboys fan. Have you ever been to Dealey Plaza, the site of the JFK assassination?
Yeah, I've done the tour. I would take, because my mom is from there, so my grandparents are there, and I would take like a 10-day trip up to Dallas. That my parents during the summer would put me on a plane, and I'd get off the plane. I'd spend the first half of the trip with my grandfather, and then he'd ship me over to my grandmother's house and spend the second half of the trip. And he always likes a good educational moment. So many museum we could go to. So yes, I have.
One of the weirdest things on that day, and there were many weird things. I'm like a freak when it comes to the Kennedy assassination. I've read a lot of the books. I've seen all the movies and documentaries. They called them the hobos. There were 3 guys arrested near the railroad tracks on the other side of the grassy knoll where they thought some of the shots might have come from. One of those 3 quote unquote hobos was named Charles Harrelson. Charles Harrelson is the father of Woody Harrelson, who was arrested that day near the assassination site just minutes after the assassination. Later, in 1975, Charles Harrelson would be arrested and go to prison for the assassination of a federal judge in San Antonio, Texas, on Broadway Street, named Judge John Wood.
I did not know that.
Yeah. If you Google Woody Harrelson's father, and he wound up going to the Supermax prison. God, where is that? Is that in Nebraska? Or I'm sure one of our listeners know where the Supermax prison is. But I knew an attorney who was Charles Harrelson's attorney, the late attorney Jimmy Parks. In fact, the way things are connected, Jimmy Parks, who passed away a few years ago, Jimmy is the father-in-law of James Allen, our guest from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Jimmy Parks told me that when he said he didn't know if Charles Harrelson was crazy or just boasting or whatever, but Charles Harrelson, according to Jimmy, told Jimmy that he was involved in the Kennedy assassination. I do believe Charles Harrelson has since passed away.
Is that not just so crazy? What
it's insane.
World, but also like how one action, like the fact that he was let go allowed him to then go do that horrible thing later on in life.
Yeah. And you would
now looking back and thinking that he might have actually been a part of that.
Yeah. And that whole, what makes a guy go and assassinate a federal judge unless somebody else put him up to it. So it's just weird. Just some weird little things from that day. Don't see, Jeremy, you got me started on the Kennedy assassination. Don't get me started.
Hey,
all right.
Very interesting stuff.
Woo! We will move on and actually talk sports. Believe it or not, I have got to talk about with Shannon, should we freak out that Team USA lost to Nigeria? But I mean, all I've been saying for 2 years, man, I want Pop to coach Team USA to gold. What if Team USA gets humiliated in the Olympics? How awful would that be for Pop and for everybody? I'm just saying. Lights by Journey with the original lead singer of Journey. Not that Arnold Pineda guy, but Steve Perry. Quick break. Your high five play of the day coming up. Shannon Salty Shakedown. Andy Everett, our golf guru, in the 8 o'clock hour. Lots to talk about on a Monday morning. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. He's the boy wonder, Jeremy Fouts. You're listening to The Chris Duel Show.
a fan of drops, sound effects.
I love drops. We can't get enough. I've always wanted more and more drops, and I never. We never have anybody who's, you know, does it like a jazz musician, like they do with Mike.
Yeah. Well, if you want me to start using them,
I do.
I got a bunch here. Okay.
Yeah, I do, and just I trust you, and just punctuate things and have fun with it.
Cool. All right, you got it.
Tracy, I've heard that lately. I highly recommend the iHeartRadio app to get better sound. I don't know what does that with the sound differential between Shannon and us, but that's been happening lately, and I apologize. Let's see.
What's up, party people in the Facebook live chat? Something else I saw on my vacation to Dallas. I went up on the rooftop of the apartment I was staying in, and there was a bunch of people twerking on each other while there were fireworks going on. So that was a interesting little exhibition of the American dream, if you will. What else did I see? I saw a guy in a convenience store yelling at a crackhead because he left like 2 hours ago and thought he was stealing, but then he came back to pay it. He didn't have any money, but then he came back. So redemption story there. We did an escape room where the stuff in the escape room was messed up, so we almost didn't finish because their stuff was messed up, not because we weren't doing it right. So that was a little frustrating. We went to Six Flags. I think my buddy almost had a heat stroke. That wasn't fun. Well, it was fun, but except for that part. But then we ate at Chili's, except Chili's took like an hour to even seat us, so that was annoying. But it's fine. It's okay. If I seem a little out of it, I'm very tired. I was here, actually, if any of you listen to the Missions baseball games, I was running the doubleheader yesterday, and I was here until about 10 o'clock. And then I came home, and I went to bed immediately, and then I woke up at 3 this morning to be here. So, hi. Nice to see you all. Hope you're all doing great. And let's have a great show. Please keep interacting. Enjoy National Paper Bag Day and International Town Crier Day. And we'll have a good time. Thanks.
Michelle Johnson, welcome in. Jason Paniagua, Michael P. Galan, Anthony Del Toro, Foamfoot 420. Young Matt Damon. I see that, Foamfoot 420. Foamfoot 420 just called you a young Matt Damon. You'll take that. That's a compliment.
Yeah, I'll take that. Matt Damon's cool. Jason Bourne. It's cool stuff.
Good looking guy.
Yeah.
See, if they said, he looks like a young Weird Al Yankovic, I don't think you'd like it as much. But a young Matt Damon.
I'll take the compliment. I mean, I like Weird Al, but he's not very traditionally handsome.
All right, let's see what else is going on here. Here we go. Woo! 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 The greatest rock and roll song ever, at least according to Sirius XM, over the 4th of July on their channel Classic Vinyl. They had the listeners vote for the greatest classic rock song ever, and they counted down from 400 to number one, and your number one song was this, Hotel California by the Eagles.
There were 399 songs before this?
Yeah.
Is that all of the classic rock songs ever?
I'm sure there were a couple more
I'd have
here.
to imagine there's probably 10 more Eagles songs in that list, at least.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Eagles
Yeah.
related, Don
Um,
Henley, like that.
Yeah, I've heard some people say, in the realm of classic rock, the Eagles are like the closest thing to the Beatles as far as an American band that just, had that huge impact. And Don Henley, of course, a Texan, went to North Texas State.
We'll claim him.
Yeah, I think Don Henley's cool. I like him a lot. And there's a rockumentary called History of the Eagles. Used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there, but one of the better documentaries ever.
I think I've seen it.
It's really well done.
And I saw you, sir, on your socials shared about an upcoming documentary, correct?
Ooh, yeah, and I just heard about that this weekend. A Paul McCartney documentary coming on Hulu on the 16th of July, which I think is the same date that Space Jam drops. So I'm going to be all over my TV that day. I'm not even, but I think it's a 6-part documentary. It's called McCartney 321. And he's sitting there in the studio with Rick Rubin, who is a legendary producer as well.
Formats.
Woo. Yeah. So, Rick Rubin probably produced Justin Timberlake at one point, right? I don't know that, but it would not surprise me. He's so prolific. I wouldn't be surprised if they crossed paths.
Now, since we're talking streaming, I'm going to put you on the spot because you said you were going to watch Ted Lasso.
I didn't do it yet. I mean, I will do it. I will bang out the first few episodes of Ted Lasso during the week this week.
I don't know what you're missing. It's so enjoyable.
I know.
So
God.
cute.
I did watch. Okay. All right. I told you that I'm late to the party. It's 7 years old. I watched season 1 of True Detective with Matthew McConaughey and Charles Harrelson's son, Woody, was in that. I didn't realize they executive produced seasons 2 and 3 of True Detective. So everybody's told me for years, well, season 1 is great with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. The other seasons suck. So I thought, all right, let me watch season 2 of True Detective. I'm going to lower the expectation bar way, way low and see if it sucks as much as people say it. It's not that bad. I mean, when you go in going, okay, this is going to suck, then it does. It's not bad. It kind of hooked me.
But you also, because you just watched the first one, you didn't have that anticipation, like the year building in between. And you say like they executive produced it. I think they did that because they created the first one. And so, like it's almost like the rights to it, right? Like, they just get to slap their name on there. I don't know how hands-on.
That could be. But see what I'm thinking, and I got through and this is why I didn't watch Ted Lasso, because I got hooked on I've watched like the first 4 of 8 episodes of season 2 of True Detective. But see, I think, and I haven't seen 3 obviously, but if they would, and there were 3 seasons of True Detective, if the 3rd season would have been Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, then I think everybody would have gone, oh my God, it just gets better and better. And season 3 was so great. It's like nobody can there's no way they could have equaled season 1 was so darn good. But anyway, so all right, I swear to God. In fact, I may even after the show, I may watch episode 1 of Ted Lasso.
Yeah, just dip your toe in the water.
I will. Okay. But will I give it a high 5 is the question. But somebody's getting a high 5 right now. We do it every morning at this time. It is the high 5 play of the day, appropriately, in fact, perfectly brought to you by High 5 in Austin. 2 locations for great food, great fun, kid-friendly, adult-friendly. Shannon's there a lot. She's an axe thrower, so don't mess with her. Shannon, who gets the big high 5 this morning?
Well, we've got to give it to a fellow Longhorn and now a professional in the world of baseball, Mr. Ty Madden, the ace for Texas. He'll be dearly missed next season, but he was drafted last night in the first round of the MLB draft.
Woo!
Jeremy, let's hear it.
With the 32nd pick of the 2021 MLB draft, the Detroit Tigers select Ty Madden, a right-handed pitcher from the University of Texas.
Woo!
MLB draft seems to happen so quietly. because it is still the middle of the season.
Yeah.
The NBA playoffs going on this year, especially. We have all these major soccer tournaments. Then we all turn around and it's the Olympics. So I don't know if that a lot of people even knew it was going on yesterday. But a huge shout out. Ty was on a lot of people's radars as a high pick. He was ranked a lot of places as the third best pitcher in this draft. He actually joins the younger Cody Clemens up in Detroit as he goes through that system. So congrats to you, Ty, and hook 'em forever. We can't wait to see you come back in the alumni game later next year. There you have it. Today's high five.
Ty Madden, now a Detroit Tiger, and that can work out well for you. Justin Verlander was a Detroit Tiger and did quite well for a number of years. And you're right, Shannon. Major League Baseball needs to find because I mean, think about it. The College World Series is huge. Even the Little League World Series is a big. I mean, we watch 12-year-olds play baseball. At least the first round of the Major League Baseball draft. I mean, it takes a while because of the way baseball's set up with the minor leagues, and you got to kind of, work your way up. But I mean, almost certainly, and I lose the almost certainly, a lot of these players who were drafted in the first round over the weekend will become big time Major League Baseball stars. That it should be a bigger deal. It should be. They should play Field of Dreams music. They should get the voice of James Earl Jones. They should maybe even do it in Iowa at the Field of Dreams baseball field. Maybe that's where they should have the draft. I don't know. Or rotate it. I mean, make it a big deal and rotate it in Major League Baseball stadiums. Have a big, pick a big game or something that is going to be big going into the year, like Astros Yankees. And either before or after or during that game or something, just there's got to be an innovative way to do that and make it, because you're right. I didn't know about it till after the fact. I did not. You and I talk sports for a living on the radio, and the Major League Baseball draft. I looked at my phone and I go, oh, wow, there's the number 1 overall pick of the MLB draft. So they need to do a better job.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the NBA taking notes from the NFL. The MLB could take notes from everybody. And there's only 298 more rounds of this to go?
Yeah.
Because yesterday was just round 1.
So yeah, I'm just saying do round 1. I just like the NBA draft. Once you get to even round 2 of the NBA draft, I know it's only 2, but round 1 is the round that matters in the NBA draft, but it is a big deal. Speaking of Major League Baseball, and we mentioned Jose Altuve, we talked about him in the first half hour. His 3-run walk-off home run as the Astros come from behind and score 6 runs in the 9th inning to beat the New York Yankees. I've heard some criticism of Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa choosing not to play in the All-Star game, which is early this week. And oh, by the way, it looked like over the weekend they found that big cache of weapons in a hotel room near Coors Field, and people were originally going, oh my God, it was a plot to maybe shoot up the All-Star game and create this horrible act of carnage, if not terror. And now state and federal authorities in Colorado are saying, nope, these were just some people with a lot of weapons who had some of them had warrants out for their arrest. Some were really, really bad people. But the more I think about this story, Jose, and we had audio of Jose Altuve. We heard him last week saying, no, I don't want to play. I want to rest. I want to put the team first because I want to be fresh. And I really think the Astros, can win it all this year. Now, the reality is he and Carlos Correa are choosing not to play. But if you think about it, Shannon, I like this decision because everywhere the Astros go this year, they get booed viciously by angry fans that just can't let 2017 go. And Jose Altuve in particular, and I think unfairly, is getting most of the boos. They yell obscenities at him. They yell F-bombs at him. They say things about his wife. They say things about his kids. And that would have happened when he came up to bat at Coors Field in the All-Star game as well. Fans would have been there just heckling and yelling at he and all of the Houston Astros. And I kind of, and Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa said, you know what? You guys want to scream at us? You want to heckle us? You want to throw F-bombs at us? All right, fine. We don't have to go, and we won't. So fans, you're the ones heckling, and you can't let this go with the Astros. So don't get angry if they choose not to show up at the All-Star game.
I'm going to point to the NFL because we kind of had this similar conversation around the NBA this year in that, it was a condensed season. They came off the bubble, so there was less rest time, and a lot of players were going to go to the All-Star game and play, but they weren't going to be happy about it, LeBron. But the truth is that they signed on to it at the beginning of the season, and I don't know what the contracts look like, and I'm sure these events get you a lot of money, but like the NFL, right? The Pro Bowl is always at the end of the year. And then you get your alternates in should those guys be playing in the Super Bowl. And it's kind of that buffer week in between the AFC and NFC championships and the Super Bowl. We get that in between. And I like that model because at that point, there's nothing else to watch. But also it takes away the excuse that you want to rest, right? I think there's a little more incentive for them to go and enjoy themselves and not, because there still is risk of injury. There still is risk of re-aggravating something that you may be trying to get over. I get that fans are paying money and they want to see you, and this may be a fun event. As a fan of these sports, I don't care. I would be fine if they were like, we're not going to do these anymore. Who cares?
Yeah.
But and especially baseball. Let's be honest. But I get it from their side, and everyone's saying, oh, you're not team first. You're putting you first. Don't these guys get paid a lot of money to go play in these if they're named? And then if they win, they get more money?
Yeah, plus it's
putting you first. You'd be
yeah.
a money grabber and you'd get, who cares about my team? I have the chance to win big dollar signs.
And contract-wise, and I guess Altuve still gets. I mean, if you make the All-Star team, I mean, you want to make it because that'll mean there could be incentives in your contract already, or it could in the next contract.
Yeah,
get you money.
So I get it from you totally hit it on the head with all that he's taken without All-Star game, and then you're gonna put him there with Correa and it's just the two of them having to deal with all those fans and all those other players. You just imagine them eating lunch alone.
Yeah, well, and it's the one time this year that Altuve and Correa can say, you know what, no. You want us to come to your house, in this case, Coors Field, so you can scream at us and heckle us and call us names and make fun of our family. And no, we're not. You're not being good hosts, so we're not going to be your guests.
Yeah. So, I don't want it to be a homer thing, but I'm definitely team Correa Altuve in this situation.
As am I. All right, coming up, Conor McGregor has a tough weekend. We will talk about it, and there are updates on his condition. If you know the story, we'll walk you through that. We'll talk more NBA playoffs as we should in the finals. Milwaukee beats Phoenix last night, 120-100. Can they even up the series on Wednesday night in Game 4? Major League Baseball, we're officially now at the All-Star break. We will talk everything sports. The Salty Shakedown coming up in the 7 o'clock hour as well. She's Shannon. I'm Chris with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Taro Kotani. Good morning, Beth Settle. Welcome in, Beth. You're in here early. Says you said hello at 6:40, as did Clint Proctor, Ralph Balderas, Taro joining us from Tokyo. Taro, I was talking about you last week. I don't know if you were listening at the time, but yeah, I saw your post on Facebook that you had tickets, man, and you were at least going to see Patty Mills, and you were probably going to see Team USA in the semifinals. So I'm so sorry you're not going to be able to see the Olympics, man. And for those of you new, Taro is the greatest international Spurs fan who lives in Tokyo and has traveled 16 times. Whoa.
Those of you.
Whoa. Has traveled 16 times. Good morning, Cody Webb. Has traveled 16 times to San Antonio from Tokyo and gone to other NBA cities in addition to his San Antonio trips to see his favorite team, the San Antonio Spurs. See, now, and we'll talk about it, this Team USA lost to Nigeria. Oh, my God. Because, all I've wanted ever since I heard he was going to be Team USA's coach was for Greg Popovich to coach Team USA to gold. And, what if the loss to Nigeria suggests it? What if it is one of the most embarrassing runs for Team USA in the Olympics? Hopefully now this is a big wake-up call for Team USA. They apparently only had 4 practices before this. So, but man, that, I think, I want to say it was like 80 points a few years ago. I'm trying to, let me see if I can find that. Olympics. Patty Mills with a buzzer beater to lift Australia past Argentina. Okay, let me see if I can find this. Yeah, 9 years ago, Team USA beat Nigeria by 83 points in the London Olympics. 5 years ago, in an exhibition, Team USA won by 43 points, and they lost 90-87 Saturday night in Las Vegas. Wow. Anyway, we'll get into that. It's a little scary. Oh. And just a reminder, I know you know, another contest at 7:20. Yeah, I enjoyed the drops. I thought you did very well with them. Yeah. No, I think Sam Freese just, like you, it's like being a jazz musician. You just kind of, you feel it, you do it, yeah. Yeah, I liked what you did there. That was good. Thank God for coffee. I'm just saying. Luisa Alanis writes, makes me mad so-called superstars choose not to play. LeBron, Steph Curry, Kawhi, James Harden, too busy to play for their country. I kind of feel that way too, Luisa. And therefore, the flip side of that, Kevin Durant, a guy I've been critical of, and even Draymond Green, a guy I generally don't like, they're playing. those who are playing deserve kudos, and those who choose not to I am not happy with them either. Let me see if I can see some of the names on that basketball team. Whoa, USA versus Australia tonight at 7:00. Argentina tomorrow night, 7:00 tonight. It's on the NBC Sports Network. So some of those, Devin Booker will play after the finals, as will Drew Holiday. And who's the third? There are three players in the final. Chris Middleton. Okay. But yeah, Bam Adebayo, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Zach LaVine, Jeremy Grant, Damian Lillard, Kevin Love, Jason Tatum. So I appreciate those who answered their country's call. Well, Anthony, that's scary that your Facebook account got hacked. I've managed to avoid that somehow, but I've heard of a lot of people who have gone through that. I'm sorry that happened to you. Yeah, Anthony, I saw that and I thought we were Facebook friends. So I was thinking, did I have that wrong? That's weird. I saw a Pop interview over the weekend. It was before the loss to Nigeria. But he even mentioned, someone asked him, why are you doing this? He credits all the players who answered the call. And he said, I've always felt it's important. I've always admired Olympic competition. And then he even mentioned, and then he joked about it. He said, I tried out for the 1972 Olympic team and I didn't make it. The reality is he was in the final cut. He missed it at the final cut. And one of the guys who made that decision was anyway, Doug Collins was the guy, the joke that Pop made. He said, Doug Collins got that final roster spot and beat me out. Can you believe that? And he said, I'm joking, obviously. Doug Collins was a great basketball player and had a great NBA career. But it was apparently Bobby Knight of Indiana at the time who chose to cut Pop. There you go. Jason has that. So, I mean, Pop still thinks about that, and it's part of why he's here.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is Monday. It is July 12th. The morning after Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Milwaukee Bucks still have a pulse in these NBA Finals. They get a 20-point win last night over the Phoenix Suns at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee. The Bucks beat Phoenix 120-100. Giannis, second consecutive 40-point-plus game. And I saw a statistic, the only other man who's put together two back-to-back 40-plus point games in the NBA Finals was Shaquille O'Neal. Giannis with 41 points and 13 rebounds last night as the Bucks beat the Phoenix Suns 120-100. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy Fouts, the boy wonder, is your soundscape stylist. And Shannon, while I am pleased that we've got a little bit of a series and perhaps the Bucks might even it up Game 4 Wednesday night in Milwaukee, I was not pleased by Team USA's effort over the weekend, nor were many Americans. In Las Vegas, Nigeria upsets Team USA. Now, it was an exhibition game, but nobody really saw this coming. Nigeria beat Team USA 90-87. And Shannon, if you think this is no big deal, 9 years ago in London, Team USA beat Nigeria by 83 points. And if you go, well, it's just an exhibition game, 5 years ago in an exhibition, Team USA beat Nigeria by 43 points, and they lose 90-87 over the weekend. How do you feel about this?
I feel a lot of things. We are asking on our poll question today for folks to tell us how they feel. If it's very concerning, mildly concerning, or it ain't no big thing. Right now, ain't no big thing, leading 50% of the way. That's kind of where I am. I think there's a lot of expectation on USA basketball because the NBA, right? And so we get kind of the cream of the crop, and there's not just one or two players, right? The entire roster is filled with all-stars or all-star-like guys. But there's a lot to be said about team and camaraderie and being a team on the court, right? I mean, when we had the LeBrons and the Kobes and the KDs together, right, they were all having fun with each other. They all have a friendship off the court. I don't think we have that kind of same thing going on here, especially with kind of a hodgepodge of players. You mentioned Draymond Green, right? Not a lot of people tend to like him, at least on the court. Who knows how they're handling things off the court? Him and KD may not see eye to eye there. And also, with where how tired they are. I don't know if that plays a factor into it, if they're coming in with the mindset of we are these NBA guys. So maybe they've gotten a wake up call now that, hey, other countries are stepping up, right? I mean, it's kind of like I would consider this kind of parallel to women's international soccer, right? The U.S. women's national team has almost always been a shoe-in, right, to make it to the finals in these bigger events, World Cup, Olympics. And then the last Olympics, they were shocked when the Swedes knocked them out, right? Because other countries are now putting more time and focus into these sports. And so they're bringing up their players. They are ready for the challenge. And I think we're seeing that with FIBA basketball from these nations. And so the U.S. got it handed to them. And hopefully this is the only loss we'll see them get, because no matter what, it will be a disappointment if they don't get gold, right? That will be a tarnish on USA basketball. It'll be tarnished on Pop, who is known as like the greatest head coach of all time, but this is would be the one thing that why couldn't he get it done here? I don't know that he would be so much to blame because again, it's NBA guys. There's only so much you can do, but it was really interesting to see it even be that close, and then for Nigeria to edge them out. It's all very confusing, but I don't know that it's cause for too much concern.
Yeah, thank goodness it was an exhibition game. And I heard some people point out again, and Pop has talked about this in the press conferences, all of these other international teams, as you mentioned, Shannon, you said the term hodgepodge, we're bringing these NBA guys together. They had only practiced 4 times before this game against Nigeria. This Nigerian team has played together for years, and they've been together since June 20th practicing. So, there's that factor. But I agree with you. And I'm a huge Greg Popovich fan. And, I was talking during the break, Pop, when he was coming out of college, out of the Air Force Academy, he tried out for the 1972 Olympic team and didn't make it. He was cut in the final round of cuts by Bobby Knight, who was coach of Indiana and coached Team USA at the time. So it would be just kind of a great crowning achievement for Pop's career and kind of a full circle thing from a guy who as a player coming out of college was cut and couldn't make the USA Olympic basketball team to then come back as this legendary coach that he now is, destined for the Hall of Fame, and then coach them to gold. But I agree, Shannon, if he doesn't get the gold, and if something like this happens in Olympic competition that matters, that is not an exhibition game, and they get embarrassed losing to a team like Nigeria, well, Pop clearly will always be remembered as one of the greatest coaches of all time. This will be remembered as well. If he does not deliver the gold as head coach, and you're right, the players have to go out and deliver the goods. He can't shoot and rebound out there on the court for them, but he will be remembered for this. So with the great opportunity to get the gold also comes the great risk of failing with the best players in the world, the NBA players that are supposed to win the gold for Team USA.
Imagine he gets silver or bronze. And as we have mentioned many a time, he has denied acceptance into the Basketball Hall of Fame, most likely waiting for his time to be up as a professional coach, right? I don't think that's something you even mention in that speech when you're talking about him for that if he doesn't win gold here, because it's that big of a disappointment.
Yeah.
When that happens for the US. But at the same time, for the Olympics, I would love to see games be closer, make it that much more interesting in the future.
Yeah.
Like it too.
Yeah, my heart doesn't want him to be that close for Team USA. By the way, tonight Team USA takes on Australia. 7:00 tonight on the NBC Sports Network. So yeah, and that'll be Patty Mills. And I've mentioned Patty plays like a madman in international play. He often will get like 30 points and 10 plus rebounds. So it's
Pop has a special game plan for his own player.
Yeah,
out of the ball. If
anybody knows how to slow down Patty Mills, you would think it would be Pop. And then tomorrow night they play back-to-back in Las Vegas in exhibitions. It's Australia tonight, 7:00. And again, that's on the NBC Sports Network. And then tomorrow night at 5:00, they take on Argentina. So a chance. So we don't have the NBA Finals starting back up again until Wednesday. So tonight and tomorrow, if you want your basketball fix, and if you want to see NBA players like Kevin Durant and Draymond Green and Bradley Beal, you've got USA versus Australia tonight and USA versus Argentina tomorrow. And we should get a better fix Shannon, on how concerned should we be? Was this just an aberration, losing to Nigeria 90-87 over the weekend? The next two nights we'll see against pretty good Argentina. I mean, with Manu and company, they won the gold, several years ago. They're that good. And Australia is very good with Patty Mills. So these are two really good tests and an opportunity for the team. And I think an opportunity for us to see, where this team might be this early in the exhibition process.
Yeah, I think a lot. I would go out on a limb and say they'll be just fine, especially with these games ahead of them before they go to the Olympics. Because like we said, it was their first time so far this summer playing together. I'm looking at the minutes now. They're pretty diverse. It looks like the starters played a lot, and then the others, that's where we have a drop off of minutes. There's some guys that didn't even see the court. So working on rotation, working on spots, working on feeling each other out, where they like the ball, how they like the ball. I think all those things will start to come together. And once they get clicking, I think they'll be hard to stop.
And one other interesting note and something to watch as this team comes together, I was watching over the weekend one of the press conferences. Pop was asked, how are you going to handle who is the team captain? I mean, you've got all these alpha males and all these NBA All-Stars led by Kevin Durant. And someone said, is it by seniority? Who's got the most games on Team USA? How are you going to do this? And Pop said, I don't even know yet. He said, I'm going to let that person kind of emerge through this process. I'm going to try to see, who emerges as the leader, and then that person will become the captain. So it'll be interesting to see, will it be Kevin Durant? You would think the most accomplished player out there, the best player is Kevin Durant, but does that necessarily make him the captain of the team? Going to be interesting to see who that becomes.
I don't know. A lot of people may argue his cupcakeness to not make him be captain. May get upset and throw a fit.
We shall
Just wait till
see.
he sees those cardboard beds.
Yeah. Well, Shannon, you said you watched a lot of soccer over the weekend. Did you watch also in Las Vegas, UFC 264? Conor McGregor in a match that wound up hurting him in a big way. That was a big story over the weekend.
It blows my mind that, because it's pay-per-view, I think it was like $60 or $70 to watch the fight.
Yeah.
And they always end up on the internet almost immediately after everything happens, everything goes down. And obviously this one ended pretty quickly too, which again, you paid that much money for how much time? But it was gruesome. And the video that I can't stop watching though is not that video. I can easily just scroll through that, but Dak Prescott was in the audience.
Whoa.
Video of him looking up at the screen, watching the replays and seeing what's going on with Conor.
Wow.
And I've never seen such PTSD on someone's face. I
Mm.
mean, he's a guy who's obviously been through it. He's coming back from it. He's been in that position and knows what that's like. And his face in that moment is, I don't know if it's sweat or if it's tears from his eyes, but it's something. And,
My goodness.
It makes you feel for Dak, and it makes you feel for Conor, because as much as he plays himself up as this bad boy, and I know he's done some things in his personal life that aren't that great, but he is still human, and I don't think anyone would ever want to have their foot in that position that he had.
No, and you're so right. A very similar injury to Dak Prescott. It was a fracture of his tibia and his fibula. Had 3-hour surgery over the weekend. 3 hours of surgery to repair that. And then Conor McGregor went onto social media, including a tweet that he wrote, just out of surgery room, guys, just out of the surgery room, guys. Surgery went excellent, feeling tremendous. 6 weeks on crutches, and then we build back. Let's go. God bless. So Conor McGregor, very optimistic coming out of that surgery. He also released a video where he spoke to the camera. Very positive, very optimistic. And I mean, if you're UFC, I mean, this is the guy who pushes the needle. This is you talk about pay-per-view. I mean, much of the reason, whatever money they made over the weekend on UFC 264, it was probably people tuning in to see Conor McGregor, I would think.
He'll say and do anything, and sometimes he goes too far. His opponent was great though. At the end, he wished his family well. He said Conor had a beautiful family and that he wished that they would do well. obviously they're going through something too, right? When daddy ends up in a situation like that requires 3 hours of surgery, and I think they said they're going to fight again. So that's something to look forward to at this point.
And I didn't see it, but Jason Paniagua pointing out on Facebook Live, former Cowboy and former Carolina Panther and very bad man, Greg Hardy was on the undercard. So
Yeah.
Greg Hardy fought did he get KO? All right, good.
Yeah.
At least somebody's beating up Greg Hardy.
There's a great picture from that fight of him. He must have just taken a swung and missed very wide, and so his head was wide open and just glove to face. It's not a great look for Greg.
Well, Greg Hardy, a little karma. So you're asking for it. All right, it is 7:20. We do this at 6:20 and 7:20. In fact, we do it 12 times throughout the day. Your chance to win $1,000, and whether you're listening via AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760, both places, 12 times throughout the day on the 20s, you can get your chance to win. We're going to give you a keyword and a place to text that keyword, and then you are in the running for $1,000. Here comes the keyword.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword PAY to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's PAY to 200-200.
Good luck. Pay is the keyword. And again, throughout the day, 10 more times on the 20s. You can get your name in the hat and a shot at $1,000. Back to Greg Hardy for a moment. Has he ever, every time I hear about him, he's losing. I wonder, is he in the UFC world, because he's a name, because he's notorious, because we've heard of him, is that why he continues to have a career in UFC, or does he ever win?
I would say that it's a lot having to do with his name.
Yeah.
At this point. And I'm looking at his career earnings. He hasn't been in it very long, right? But he's already earned over $1 million.
Wow.
So, again, I think it's that game people like to play of, if you were given $1 million, would you blank? And I think for Greg Hardy, it's, are you willing to have your face bashed in on television for $1 million? And he keeps saying yes.
Wow. I had no idea. If you would have said, guess what Greg Hardy's career earnings in UFC have been, I would have said, 170,000, 200,000. But my goodness, he's made over $1 million so far.
Yeah. He's been in it since 2018, middle of 2018. And hasn't had too many fights. So yeah, I'd say he's all right.
Wow. And as you mentioned, Dak Prescott in the audience in Dak Prescott catching some sporting events lately. The week before, he was in Omaha to watch his alma mater, Mississippi State, in the College World Series. Here he is in Las Vegas, and I guess he's got to make his way to Oxnard, California in the next, I think it's 10 days now. I think it's the 22nd of July is Dallas Cowboys training camp. So Dak Prescott kind of making the rounds here before the football season begins.
Hey, good for Dak. I'd rather see those headlines of him taking in a sporting event rather than him doing other things that some franchises have to deal with when it comes to their quarterbacks or even just big names on those rosters. Great picture going into the weekend was Dak in his uniform sporting his brand new Jordans, right? Because he just signed that deal with Jordan Brand to leave Adidas. And he's got some pretty sweet white and blue cleats to wear this season. So, hopefully they keep that ankle right where it's supposed to be.
Now, I did not see the photo of Dak Prescott in his Jordans. Was that released by Nike or what was he doing in his uniform?
Dallas Cowboys just sent it out over the weekend. Just straight up picture with Dak. I don't even think they put a caption on it. But yeah, a great photo of Dak. He's got the shrug. He's doing the shoulder shrug with the, I don't know, look like, he's got his new shoes on. I think he's so ready to play again. And he's just filling his time with other sporting events until he can be the main act.
And again, we've talked about it. These Dallas Cowboys, they're going to be on Hard Knocks on HBO this summer, and opening night once the regular season gets underway. The big Thursday night opener against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The anticipation, Shannon, for that opening NFL game. I mean, I can't think of a better, Tom Brady, since going to Tampa Bay, and now that they are the Super Bowl champions, they are must-see TV just because of who Tom Brady is and who they are as defending Super Bowl champions. And if you could pick one team, I mean, maybe Kansas City in a rematch with Patrick Mahomes, but we just saw that. That's a little weird for opening night on Thursday Night Football to kick off the NFL season. So if it's not going to be Kansas City and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who better than America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott coming off the injury? I just think the NFL, probably more so than I can recall on opening night, has just come up with the golden football game, and the one that I think is just the perfect matchup.
Yeah, I really hope it lives up to the hype. I mean, Super Bowl, not so much, with Tampa Bay really running away with it. And also, is this the first time that we've had the team play in a Super Bowl on their home field, win it, and then turn around and the next game there is the beginning of the season and they're opening at home? Not only are they opening at home, but they're opening up against the Cowboys. There's no one, put any other team on there. No, absolutely not. That has to be the Cowboys. Again, I feel the same way about this game as I do with Hard Knocks as a Cowboys fan. You love to see it because you love the attention and you love the prime timeness of it all.
Yeah.
But it makes me worried a little bit.
See, but I think, yeah.
Just keep training camp first.
Yes, but the fact that it's week one, I think you maybe, because, nobody plays in the final preseason week. Mm-hmm. Starters don't play in the NFL. So I think as Cowboys, obviously they're going to be heavy underdogs coming into Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, but instead of playing them week 4 whenever both teams are hitting on all cylinders, to get them week 1, I think if the Cowboys come out hot and Dak is hot and Tampa Bay maybe not so much, I think the Cowboys have a shot. I mean, I'm delusional. I'm a delusional Cowboys fan, but I don't feel that bad about it. I think they got a shot.
With that defense last year and all the changes that'll take place or should be taking place this offseason, and Tom Brady's ability to read those, I think they can throw Tom Brady off.
I hope so.
Especially with it being week 1.
And I hope Dan Quinn, the new defensive coordinator, like every day, July and August, is game planning for Tom Brady and just kind of watching film and trying to figure out ways to slow him down on opening night. All right, coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, this day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more. You are always welcome to join us if you want to dial us up on the phone lines, 800-707-9760. We got a live video stream as always. Lots of ways you can access it on Facebook via AM 1300 The Zone and Ticket 760's Facebook pages. There is a YouTube link to that to that live video stream. Twitch as well. Lots of ways to join us. And of course, the iHeartRadio app, where we always sound crystal clear. You can join us there as well. Jeremy Foucher, Soundscape stylist. She is the salty one with her shakedown coming at you in just a few moments. It's the Chris Duel Show. Philip Ramos Longoria, good morning. John Williams, good morning. John, I don't understand the question. How baseball players who MLB World Series plus the Little League World Series. I think you're asking how many players have played in both the Little League World Series and the World Series. That's a great question. I'd love to know who those players are. That's a really good question. All right. I think I'm going to grab, where's my coffee cup? Woo! My coffee cup has disappeared. I got my iced tea cup, but I got to find the coffee cup. I guess I tossed it. was I thinking?
Any song requests? Anybody? I'm the one doing the music, obviously, like always. So, if anyone has any music, feel free to DM me or drop it in the comments. I'm always happy to take suggestions. Um, because I like involving you guys. I like getting you guys involved in the show, even more so than you already are. So if you have any suggestions, send them my way. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. Actually, I might just be talking to a screen, talking to a wall. That'd be sad, but it's usually how it is anyway. You just mentioned the cranberries there. Oh man, her death that's her, right? The zombie. Yeah, her death is so weird. She like drowned in a bathtub, but then the police like couldn't figure that out, and then they found out she got killed some other way or something. There's a weird like conspiracy with her death. Um, but shout out. I probably shouldn't be promoting the competition here, but shout out to 99.5 Kiss for only playing their song Zombie and not any of their other songs. They seem to have a very limited playlist over there. But Kiss is my jam.
Jason says, in honor of Dave, we need some metal for Monday. Or Bon Jovi. Here we go. The Police, Little Roxanne, submitted for your approval by Soundscape stylist Jeremy Founts. Thank you, Jeremy. The boy wonder, the pride of Oklahoma Christian University. Someday there will be a statue of him in front of Oklahoma Christian University. Hopefully he will invite Shannon and me to the unveiling, the big ceremony. Woo! What town is Oklahoma Christian University in?
It's in Edmond. It's like right.
I'm not hearing you.
Oh, aha, my bad. It's in Edmond. It's right outside of Oklahoma City.
Edmond. Okay. Because I know in Tulsa, Oral Roberts University has the big praying hands. They've got this huge statue of praying hands.
Oh, could be a statue of me. That
Yeah.
might be better.
Yeah, exactly. So Edmond will say, hey, man,
Yes.
we're going to see how tall the praying hands are at Oral Roberts University in Tulsa. And we're going to make the Jeremy Fouts statue 3 times taller
Yes.
at Oklahoma Christian University. I'm just
People
saying.
Worship.
Woo.
Feel inspired.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. You've waited all weekend, and you are moments away from the Salty Shakedown. But before that, we've got some sports birthdays and this day in sports history. July 12th, 1901. Pitcher Cy Young wins his 300th game. It's a lot of wins as a pitcher. I wonder if Cy Young got the Cy Young Award that year. They didn't have it yet. On this day in 1970, the British Open at St. Andrews, Jack Nicklaus beats Doug Sanders by 1 stroke in the event's first ever 18-hole playoff to win the second of his 3 Open championships. That Jack Nicklaus guy was pretty good. On this day in 1979, it was Disco Demolition Night at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Fans went wild, destroying disco records, and it caused the White Sox to forfeit the second game of a doubleheader against the Detroit Tigers. This was a famous event. A local DJ, this was the beginning of the Disco Sucks era and the backlash against disco. And in between games, in a doubleheader between the White Sox and the Detroit Tigers, they blew up disco records, and it caused a riot. And they couldn't play the second game of the doubleheader. So White Sox forfeited that second game to the Detroit Tigers. So chalk up that win to disco, I guess. And finally, On this day in 2015, the Wimbledon men's tennis championship goes to Novak Djokovic, ironically, because he won it yesterday as well. Novak Djokovic successfully defends his title for his third Wimbledon crown, beating Roger Federer 7-6, 6-7, 6-4, 6-3. Did the same thing over the weekend, winning Wimbledon again over Matteo Berrettini. Ashley Barty over the weekend won the Wimbledon women's championship. There's your sports history. Now some sports birthdays. Thank you, John. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, George. Thank you, Ringo. And Paul, I'm looking forward to the Hulu documentary that Shannon brought up. McCartney 321 on Hulu, 6-part documentary, drops, I believe, on the 16th of July, which is in just 4 days. Born on this day in 1943, American basketball player and coach Paul Silas. All those years with the Boston Celtics. Paul Silas, born in Prescott, Arkansas. Wonder if Dak Prescott's ever been to Prescott, Arkansas. And yes, Paul Silas had a son. His name is Steven Silas. And Steven Silas is now the head coach of the Houston Rockets. Some good basketball DNA in that family, but no relation to James Silas of the Spurs, who's been on this show. Born on this day in 1962, Mexican boxer, 3-weight division world champion, Julio Cesar Chavez. Born on this day in 1962 in Ciudad Obregón, Mexico, Julio Cesar Chavez. And finally, born on this day in 1971, American figure skater. She won Olympic gold in 1992. She won the world championship in 91 and 92. Born in Hayward, California in 1971, Christy Yamaguchi. Happy birthday to Christy Yamaguchi, Julio Cesar Chavez, and Paul Silas, father of Steven Silas. Those are your sports birthdays and your sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here it comes. What better way to start the week than with this, your Monday Salty Shakedown.
Oh, to be rich, Chris.
Yes.
Be able to buy and do just about anything you ever wanted.
Woo.
To have a little coin. It also helps that MLB teams are currently off for the All-Star break, as it was kind of revealed over the weekend that what was probably meant to be a private date at Dodger Stadium was not so private when an ABC 7 news helicopter flew over and noticed a date was going on in the middle of an empty Dodger Stadium along the third baseline, a little table set up, a few waiters, and a couple. Well, they zoomed in, and guess who that couple was? It was Drake and his current model girlfriend enjoying a nice meal.
Wow.
Evening time at Dodgers Stadium. Drake, most notably, has been paired with LeBron James lately. Michael B. Jordan, as I guess Drake's girlfriend, her son plays on the same basketball team as Bronny, aka LeBron Jr. So they've been hanging out a lot, and for whatever reason, I guess he just felt, why go to a restaurant? Why even rent out an entire restaurant when I can rent out the entirety of Dodgers Stadium? We've seen things like this happen before, right? People rent out the Staples Center or something like that to have their own private movie viewing, or even renting out just a normal movie theater to have their own private showing. This seems a little excessive, Chris. It seems like a bit of a stunt. We already know you're rich, Drake. We already know it. I mean, and what kind of, were you eating hot dogs? Or did you have a 5-star chef flown in to cater for the two of you? Chris, would you ever take someone on if you had the opportunity in the coin, would you ever think, where should we date night? What should we do? Oh, let me just rent out the nearest stadium I live next to.
Now, you said hot dogs. Dodger dogs are a big thing at Dodger Stadium, but I wonder, and you mentioned Drake's current woman is a supermodel. if she's not into sports, see, my wife is not that big of a sports fan. I mean, she tolerates sports because she knows I love sports. So she's done some big time sports things with me over the years. Has gone to some Super Bowls and stuff. But it's like if I did this, it's like I'm a Cowboys fan. If I rented out AT&T Stadium and we had dinner at the 50-yard line, she'd be like, meh, I'd rather, go to a nice restaurant.
This is
So
more of a you thing.
yeah. So, I guess, and if he's a Dodger fan, I guess I get it. I mean, it would now you're a huge Longhorn fan and alum. I mean, you would probably dig renting out DKR and having dinner at the 50, probably, right? So
I'd say screw dinner, let's have a tour or something. But yeah, I'd be into it, but I agree. I don't know, other than obviously her son plays basketball, so she probably knows a thing or two about that sport, as he is pretty good, and I believe he's going to either UCLA or USC, so he is a pretty nice player himself.
Okay.
But this was just so interesting, and it feels like such a Drake thing to do, and yet very strange all at the same time. We'll see where he rents a place out next. He rented out SoFi not too long ago for his own after parties following the Billboard Music Awards. So, he's just on a stadium renting spree.
And by the way, conspiracy theory, I wonder if he had the helicopter tipped off. I mean, the story is, a copter spotted Drake. I wonder if Drake kind of digs that we know, and there was chopper footage. My conspiracy theory is he kind of orchestrated the serendipitous copter flyby and catching him.
Well, the guy that caught the photo, who did work for ABC7, I mean, he tweeted it out. So I don't know if maybe they would have drummed up some copy too to go along with that.
Okay.
He was just flying over. I was looking for why he was flying over, right? Like, where was he heading to report?
Yeah.
Where was that? And then he started reporting on this, but I don't know. We live in a town where they don't, not that I know of. I don't think our news people have helicopters. That's very much a California, LA kind of thing. All right. Moving over to the Olympics, we're 11 days out. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable.
It's going to be here. And I think people are forgetting that we've got some new sports being added. Baseball's come back, softball's come back. We know that. But Chris, we were also getting skateboarding, surfing, climbing, and karate. Out of these, I'm probably most interested in skateboarding, right? It's a huge X Games event. We were going to get some Shaun White, but he decided that he would not focus on that and instead focus on the next Winter Games and get himself ready for snowboarding. But surfing, I find interesting because or how is that going to work, right? Because you have to have equal playing field, don't you?
Yeah.
We're going out into the ocean. I don't understand. Wouldn't you have to have a man-made ocean with the exact same waves occurring over and over again? I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know if these sports are going to last very long. Maybe skateboarding. We shall see. But Chris, of these four, will you watch any of them? And if so, which one are you most likely to watch?
I guess I'm skateboarding, although I'm kind of against it. I mean, I'm mainly annoyed by skateboarders when I'm trying to make my way through a mini mall parking lot and there's skateboarders just aggravating me and getting in my way. And you notice, like, public skateboarders, they're always like wiping out and their skateboard is going flying and they're usually not that good. I mean, I'm assuming if you make the Olympics, you're real good. But I don't know. I guess just so that I can mock it and be like the angry old man, get off my lawn and get off my mini mall parking lot, I will watch skateboarding.
I believe one of the U.S. skateboarders, she won an X Games gold medal at the age of 13.
Wow.
I think she's now 16.
My goodness.
She'll be something to watch. And I the other thing I have a hard time, because I don't know anything about karate. Climbing, I guess, is going to be a race of some sort, right? Like first to the top. But surfing and skateboarding, the only thing I know if you're winning or not is whether or not you crash.
Yeah.
If you crash, I can assume you're probably out of the running.
Yes.
But other than that, I have no way of knowing. I'd rather watch archery, to be honest with you. I quite enjoy that during the summer games. All right, finally, we've talked a little bit of UFC and that awful, awful injury that Conor McGregor suffered in round 1. But let's talk what happened before that UFC match. Chris, we mention TikTok quite a bit on this show, as it is just the thing. We try to connect with kids. And that's what the UFC was trying to do. Even though it's a bloody, gruesome sport, they want to bring in as many viewers as possible. So how do we do that? Well, we bring on one of the biggest TikTok stars with 81.9 million followers and 38 million Instagram followers to be the pre-show host for UFC. She goes by the name of Addison Rae. You may have seen her on Jimmy Fallon as she performed her song Obsessed not too long ago, because she is, of course, expanding her platforms at this point, thanks to her giant following. But people were quite upset to realize that she got to host the UFC pre-show. In fact, she tweeted over the weekend, "I studied broadcast journalism in college for 3 whole months to prepare for this moment." That's right. She was in college and she got TikTok famous and dropped out. She was apparently going for a broadcast journalism degree. Guess you don't really need it. And a lot of people didn't find this to be a funny joke, because people like you and me, Chris, we got degrees in a similar field.
Yeah.
And we have not been asked to take on such a high profile and very well paying gig. The internet, she was the number one trending name on Twitter for most of the day on Saturday leading up to this event, because people just have had enough. I get it. You grow your platform and they want to have someone with a big platform be in front, but to literally hand her this, because Lord knows she probably knows nothing about the UFC. She probably knows just about as much as I do, which isn't saying a whole lot.
But you know more.
Yeah, okay. I probably know a
Yeah.
little bit more. She did have some fun with it, though, tweeting again, "Never mind, y'all got me fired."
Oh!
People didn't get her fired. She was still very much there and still very much present. And then she sat ringside for the whole event. So, Chris, we've seen this happen before, right? Like the show Ellen, for example. She finds an internet or trending sensation. She brings them on their show. And then she's like, and guess what? You're going to go host the Grammys red carpet or whatever the next big event is. And sometimes they take off with it and they kind of start these careers, and that's just how they got started. And others kind of they were kids and they grow up and they're less interesting or whatever. But do you think she was worthy of this? Is it enough to have that many followers?
Personally, I mean, from a purist standpoint, and you and I, take sports seriously and we pay attention to it and try to be informed about it when we talk about it. So on the surface, I don't think she was worthy. However, if you're UFC or if you're Ellen and you're trying to grow your audience and you find somebody who's got 81 million followers, it kind of makes sense to, involve them with what you're doing to try to expose your product to a wider audience. So, I don't love it, but it's where we are. So I kind of get it, but I must say that I don't love it.
It's an interesting conversation to have, especially coming off the Rachel Nichols, Maria Taylor week, right? Where they are very qualified women at what they do.
Yes.
There's only so many sidelighting reporter gigs and so many high profile games to do them at. This, I would think, is a pretty high profile gig to have if you're in that world. And if I were to be a professional at it, someone who does it year in and year out, and it was to be given to some girl who, wiggles her booty on a TikTok platform and was in broadcast school for like basically syllabus week, and that's it. I'm pissed. But hey, it looks like she made the most of her time, especially with that clapback of "y'all got me fired." So you go, girl. Get that money. Get that money while you can, because I don't know how long this TikTok thing is going to last.
Yeah.
That's it. Today's Salty Shakedown.
Outstanding Salty Shakedown. And this woman's name is Addison Rae. Did I get that right?
Yeah. R-A-E.
Addison. I'm going to have to explore Addison Rae because I don't know her. I'm not one of her 81 million followers.
She's 19, maybe 20.
Yeah.
She dresses like she's 30, in my opinion.
Well, is that
someone who's almost 30 and dresses like she's 12?
But I mean, to get the 81 million followers, is that how she got them? Shaking her booty? Was that her deal?
TikTok dances and
okay.
Or the New York Jets did a TikTok with her that was actually deemed inappropriate, and they had to take it down.
Wow! At least the Jets are doing something noteworthy. They're failing on the football field. So, all right, coming up, lots more to talk about, including More on the NBA Finals and last night's win by the Milwaukee Bucks over the Phoenix Suns. Also in the 8 o'clock hour, just after 8:30, our go-to guy in the golf world and college athletics. He's the voice of UTSA Athletics. Andy Everett's going to join us. We'll see if Andy is all geeked up about the Olympics. Sports update at the top. Chris Duel Show till 9. Oh! Thank you, Foamfoot 420. I guess that's a good sign if it's flying by. As opposed to, oh my God, this show is dragging. It's a living hell. So thank you. Anthony Huerta, that was funny. Did Rachel Nichols comment on Addison Rae's selection as host for UFC? Dave Emilio says McGregor has bones of glass. He's done. I don't know. We will see. Good morning, Dean Stone. Thank you, Dean. Thanks for being here. Thanks to everybody on Facebook. Always appreciate your hanging out with us. Or wherever. It's not only on Facebook. Foamfoot is here via YouTube. We occasionally get a Twitch person. So however you are here, thank you for being here.
See your comment there, Dean Stone on Facebook Live. Thanks for watching Monday through Friday, man. We really appreciate the support. Nice to have consistent fans. That's what I really like about this Facebook Live thing is we get people like Jason and John Williams and Dean and you know Tracy Bogart and everybody. That it's really nice to have consistent viewers that I can kind of learn and interact with. And same for Chris and Shannon, I'm sure. Whew. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. And I will be back tomorrow. I know you're all pumped about that. Finally, no stinky Dave Ayler. It's the cool 23-year-old Jeremy Fouts. Kicking butt, taking names. Needs to shave his peach fuzz. Makes me look like a cartel member. I have a canker sore like right here in my mouth. My teeth keep hitting it. So if you see me in agonizing pain, that's why. I'm tired and in pain. That's pretty much that's what's happening over here. It's a dog eat dog world, and I'm eating milk bone underwear, or I'm wearing milk bone underwear. Dang it! I had the whole quote set up and I didn't even say it right. Dang it! Oh well. Is Chris getting more coffee? The dude is a coffee nut, which I appreciate. We can all use coffee.
John Williams, who is a better bowler, me or the original Rock? Probably the original Rock. The original Rock was always better than me in pretty much everything athletic or hand-eye coordination. Leo Zambrano. I'm the Tony Romo of Facebook viewership. Very inconsistent. Now, if you were Tony Romo, you'd be really good for the first 2.5 hours of the show. And then in the fourth quarter of the show, Leo, you would find a way to screw things up. When the game was on the line, at the end. Here we go. Thank you, Leo. Can't believe that's been 30 years, man.
This is the Chris Duel Show. Now, Chris Duel.
Welcome in. It is the 8 o'clock hour on this Monday, July 12th. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney and the boy wonder, Jeremy Fouts, the nephew of Hall of Fame NFL quarterback Dan Fouts. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Jeremy says that's not true, but hey, man, if I had the name Fouts, I'd say, hey, that was me. A story, Shannon, we talked about it, and this story is really starting to pick up some steam. You know, Italy beats England on penalty kicks yesterday in the Euro 2020 championship, and apparently 3 players on the England team were subject to racist abuse, apparently by fans of Great Britain, and even the Prime Minister Boris Johnson, among others, speaking out this morning as to how reprehensible it is. And, you know, we know and we hear all the time how hardcore these soccer fans are around the world, and certainly European soccer fans, but it gets a little bit disgusting when these quote unquote fans reveal their racism and just their disgusting behavior on social media. In this case, the team itself released a statement. The Prime Minister released a statement. Apparently Scotland Yard in Great Britain is investigating who's behind some of these social media posts. Pretty sickening, actually, that, you know, the ugly side of sports rears its ugly head once again here this morning.
You know, that game went into penalties, and it just so happened that the 2 players for the English side that missed their penalty kicks were black. But if you think that's why they missed,
Oh, God.
you are out of your mind.
Yeah.
Also, you do it. You know, I think people forget that, yes, they are human, so they have feelings and they do make mistakes, but they are also incredibly good at what they do. I mean, they are truly the nation's best. That is why they are there. And then on top of that, they were selected to take part in those penalty kicks, and to blame it all on them. No, absolutely not. Harry Kane, who is the lead guy for that team and is a huge face for soccer in general, was next to nowhere to be found during the final yesterday. He did make his penalty kick, but that's about all he did.
Mm.
Want to blame somebody? Blame your captain. I don't know. But to start throwing slurs and things of that nature, especially for something like this, and especially when we're about to head into the Olympics, which I imagine the rosters will be very similar. That's just so bad.
Yeah, the governing body, the Football Association, released a statement saying, quote, "The Football Association strongly condemns all forms of discrimination and is appalled by the online racism that has been aimed at some of our England players on social media. We could not be clearer that anyone behind such disgusting behavior is not welcome in following the team. We will do all we can to support the players affected while urging the toughest punishments possible for anyone responsible." Yeah, I don't know what you can do when, you know, someone makes these god awful racist posts on social media, but hopefully you can find them and out them, and, you know, at least make them pay some kind of a penalty just for letting, you know, the rest of their neighbors and the rest of the people who may know them find out who they are, because that is just absolutely sick.
we're the age of keyboard warriors that we're in, especially like coming off the pandemic, has been insane. I mean, you and I deal with them every now and again, right? And to deal with it on that level, and we've seen issues where, I mean, the young gentleman who threatened NFL football players was recently charged, right? Because even though you're doing these things online, and whether or not you think you're not anonymous or you're sending them out next to your name, they are viewed as threats, and you can be punished for them. And so hopefully something is done, whether it's these folks not being allowed to go to these games again, whether it's them getting their accounts suspended, whatever it may be. There needs to be some sort of repercussion here.
And it reminds me, you talk about how sick soccer fans can be. I'll never forget back in 1994 in the World Cup, there was a player for Colombia, and I just Googled to remember his name. It was Andres Escobar, who missed a key kick in. He was actually a defender who allowed a goal that got Colombia beaten in the World Cup. He was murdered. He returned to Colombia, and he was killed by soccer fans for his mistake in the World Cup. I mean, my God, people. I mean, granted, that's the worst of the worst. But I mean, some of these fans just go way too far. And certainly most recently, and this is one of the big sports stories of the day, this racism, this online racism. I would hope that whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, that these companies that, run these sites, find these people and at the very least just ban them and figure out who they are and find a way to keep them from, posting again on these platforms.
One of the things we love about sports is passion. And you and I have great passion for all of the teams we follow, but I could never imagine myself being that into it that I would do something that drastic. And it's hard to imagine that other people are like that and have been involved in such acts. And, the idea that winning is everything. Well, at the end of the day, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And I think we need to remember that from time to time. And kind of to jump off of that, I think we'd be remiss not to bring it up today. The story about Kansas University over the weekend and more news coming out of that university, right? We just had the firing of Les Miles due to some incidents that occurred while he was at LSU. Well, now there's some stories coming out of there just the week that we're going into Big 12 Media Day. So I'm sure this will be a looming topic for that university. But former player Carperton Humphrey had some awful experiences while playing. He was a JUCO transfer for that Jayhawks football team. He apparently got into an argument with some teammates one day, which I don't think is all that rare considering, football for what it is. But those teammates apparently loosened some lug nuts on his car, which is horrible. He luckily noticed that something was wrong with one of his wheels when he was driving, so he was able to get it fixed before it turned into anything more serious. He reported the incident, and basically Les Miles told that group of guys, well, hey, you guys need to stop that or you're going to run sprints. Excuse me. That's all. You could have killed that man.
Yeah.
By doing this. This group of gentlemen also shared an apartment complex with Carperton Humphrey. They apparently lived one floor down. There was a moment when Humphrey's family was in town, and these gentlemen stormed in, demanding to come in, threatened to beat them up. It's absolutely horrendous to think that they were teammates, because you first start reading the story and you think he's getting robbed or something, and he doesn't know these people. They just know he's a football player who happens to be pretty well off from a pretty well off family, and they're teammates, and they're treating him like this. And his family wants him to leave the school, and instead of the school doing anything about it, they pay him off. They try and pay he and his family off, saying, we will keep paying for your tuition, we will keep paying for your board, we will pay you, I think it was like a couple bucks a mile for the distance you have to travel to go back home. I believe it's from West Virginia. We will pay for your stuff to be shipped home. Just don't tell this story to anybody else.
Mm.
I thought we had heard the last of Les Miles when he was fired and let go from Kansas. And now something like this comes up. It's not a good look for Les. It's not a good look for the university. It's not a good look for a program who has been struggling on the field for so long. And for stories like this to keep coming out, it's not a great look for a program that is trying to do something somewhere.
No. And I mean, and again, this happened at Kansas, which is a notoriously bad football program. And some people said over the weekend on social media as well, you know, imagine the bodies that are buried at LSU. You know, when Les Miles was at LSU, imagine, you know, the things he covered up. If this is the way he behaves at Kansas, you know, LSU with much more on the line and a successful football program. I mean, you have to assume, you know, this is who Les Miles is. This is the way he does business, apparently, as a head football coach. It makes you wonder what kinds of things, you know, he might have been involved in. I mean, he already had kind of a bad reputation at LSU, but the reality might be much worse. And it makes you wonder, as what often happens in a situation like this, once a few of these revelations come out, some other people who have some of these secrets that they've kept over the years begin to feel more emboldened to speak out. It'll be interesting to see if we learn more things about Les Miles in the coming days.
We talk about culture and that great programs like Clemson, like Alabama, Texas trying to kind of reinvent their culture because it can lead to winning and help sustain winning. I think a lot of people probably just thought Kansas was bad because they were bad and maybe it's hard to recruit there. There's not a lot of great players in the area. But then you see something like this and you're like, that culture is completely messed up.
Yeah.
Completely messed up. When you're offering to pay someone to go away and to never speak about it, especially something like this, it's not like, I don't know, someone cheated on a test or anything. Like, no, they tried to beat up his family, mess with the lug nuts on his car. I mean, it's almost like attempted murder in some way. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Like I said, Big 12 Media Days begins this week. It'll be something to. I feel so bad for the new coach because now he's having to deal with this, and now he probably has to go start from scratch and building the culture up from ground zero.
Yeah, but it is an opportunity for him and for that program now that Les Miles is gone to say, hey, this is reprehensible. It's a new day at Kansas. And it's so weird. You talk about how bad that football program has been at Kansas for years, even with Les Miles. Mm-hmm. That's here while Iowa State is putting it, so it's not just location. Iowa State manages to have a good football program where they are. Kansas in basketball has been amazing for so many years and yet so god awful in football. It just makes you wonder why, if at Iowa State they're able to create a really good football program there in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Iowa, you would think Kansas, at least having the template of a basketball program that has been so successful for so many years, you would kind of think they'd figure out a way to at least be decent in football, but they certainly have not. And now, obviously, I mean, criminal behavior now that is being revealed within that program, or at least under Les Miles.
And to my point, I think that's why it has to do so much with culture. It's not you're losing because you can't get those recruits. Look at Puka. I mean, he was such a threat. But when your culture is garbage, that's something you can sniff out the second you step on campus as a recruit. And that's something they try to sell you on, even more so than your win-loss record when you're being recruited. So if this is, I mean, who knows what else may come out after this story broke over the weekend. It's heartbreaking. I feel for that kid. Like I said, he was a JUCO transfer. He was playing really well and doing a lot of great things for that team. He had a bright future, and it was lost because of an argument with the teammates that those teammates took way too far, way too far, and then the school tried to pay him to go away.
But as you mentioned, and kind of at least from a Texas standpoint, some excitement this week with Big 12 Media Days, an opportunity. We talked about it last week, and now the week is here. We will hear from Coach Sark, and I'm sure he will shed some light on the University of Texas football program this week as we hear from him during Big 12 Media Days. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Bijan Robinson, of course, a name that's being tossed around for possible Heisman candidate. He will be representing the university there. He actually posted over the weekend that he is now being sponsored, endorsed by Raising Cane's. And I don't know if you're a Raising Cane's fan. I'm just a fan of fried chicken in general and good fried chicken.
Yeah.
Raising Cane's is one of those spots. I just got a new one that opened up by me.
Yeah.
I love it. So I was ecstatic for him to see that because, of course, that one on MLK opened, I think, when I was a senior there at Texas. And it's right next to a Chick-fil-A. I've never seen such long lines. I mean, down the entire MLK street into the road, causing traffic. It's a fantastic spot. It's a fantastic restaurant and chain. And for him to get that sponsorship, that's just awesome. I love seeing these athletes get what they deserve and then, make these smart decisions and partner up with places like that.
You mentioned Raising Cane. So they put it, so they came in after the Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So they built that location. That's pretty brazen. That's saying, hey man, we're pretty badass. We know we are, because Chick-fil-A has such a huge following. For Raising Cane's to come in there and be that successful is pretty amazing.
That Chick-fil-A was pretty new too, and it does really well. But I couldn't go to that Raising Cane's for the first few months because the line was just always that long. I will wait in a line with maybe 5 cars in it at a drive-through, but if that thing is in the street, absolutely not.
That's a little crazy. Do we know yet what Bijan Robinson's deal is with Raising Cane's? Do we know what the terms of his deal are?
He didn't flex that. He just flexed his box of chicken. Which, listen, anybody at Raising Cane's, you're listening, like, I don't need cash. I just need fried chicken. That works for me.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. That sauce, man. That's so good. I'll never forget the first time I had Raising Cane's.
Yep.
Galleria, Houston, Texas, just after coming off the ice rink.
See, Raising Cane's needs to sign you. I mean, you're not even a paid endorser, and yours you remember the first time you had Raising Cane's.
Oh, that Texas toast. I just like to eat, y'all.
Very nice. Very nice. It wasn't a sports story over the weekend, but it was kind of interesting, and I've gotten mixed feelings about it. Sir Richard Branson and others go into space, kind of the space race between he and Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos scheduled to go on July 20th, which is an interesting day in space exploration. Of course, Apollo 11 first landed on the moon on July 20th, 1969. I think that's why Jeff Bezos of Amazon chose July 20th as the date. Sir Richard Branson and his company Virgin Galactic went over the weekend, and they actually moved the date up as it kind of turned into a race between Sir Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos. I've got kind of mixed emotions, and I saw the footage, and it's kind of cool. They were clearly up very, very high. You could see the curvature of the Earth. It was a suborbital flight where they were only, the whole flight was about 14 minutes, and they only had something like 3 minutes up in space and weightless. So, I mean, yeah, you're in space, but you're not exactly, up where the International Space Station is. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of cool. But what they're charging, millions of dollars for people who want to do this. It's like, my God, enjoy your 3-minute ride, I guess.
I keep seeing this graphic going around of like the median income for an American, and then they have, the upper class, and then they have the millionaires and the billionaires, and the chart just keeps going. And then there's Jeff Bezos. And at that point, you can't even see the median income.
No.
Like it was lost a long time ago. And that just makes me so mad. And for to have that kind of money, where I'm just going to build a couple spaceships and go to space or whatever. I mean, I don't done everything else. Why not? I'm like, God. Can buy me a sandwich or something. Do something nice for me.
Well, and the thing that I always hear
at this point.
Yeah, and I don't understand how this works, and I don't understand how they avoid taxes, but I have heard for so long that year after year, Amazon does not pay taxes.
The Church of Amazon.
My God, exactly. It's I mean, somebody needs to run for president either as a Republican or a Democrat or a libertarian or an independent and say we will have Amazon pay taxes. I mean, if you can get Amazon to pay 20% in taxes, that's going to solve a lot of our national debt, and that's going to solve a lot of our problems.
It might make you feel better about the space race. There's a Jeff Bezos song going around right now that I encourage you to find and listen to during the break.
Ooh,
I can find a link for you.
I will go look for that. So I got two missions now: Ted Lasso this week and the Jeff Bezos song.
Yeah,
very nice. Is it suitable for radio or is it? No, Jeremy is shaking his head. Not suitable for radio.
No.
All right.
It's very much a between segments.
I see. Thank you. That helps me out. I will go look for that. Coming up. Okay, then we will talk with our good friend, Mr. Andy Everett, as he gets ready for the British Open and whatever's next in the world of golf. And he's all about the college athletics as well. He's the voice of UTSA athletics. Is he into the Olympics, though? And I did talk to him last week. He did not watch the match at all, which I think is un-American and anti-Tom Brady and anti-Aaron Rodgers, but it's a free country. He's a golf purist. Andy Everett joins us next. Shannon Salty Sweeney, and of course, Jeremy Fouts, the boy wonder, making the show go. We are with you till 9. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Chris Duel Show. Yeah, Richard, that is interesting. Amazon charges us tax, but they don't pay taxes. It's interesting how that works out. Robert Almaraz, welcome in. Warren Wheeler, welcome. Welcome everybody on Facebook. Thank you, Shannon. I'll see it. I just saw the link. Let me see if I can get audio going in here. Shannon, I'll see it. I just saw the link. Let me see if I can get audio going in here. First of all, let me try to get that done. Where's Facebook? Yeah, and I'm okay with that on Facebook, as long as we don't do it on the radio. But probably polite not to put that out. Very funny. So the British Open is this week, or the Open. Brooks, Koepka, Jordan Spieth among the favorites. We might have to have another draft. Tracy Bogert says 55 of the nation's largest corporations paid no income tax in 2020. Yeah, I just think something is wrong with the way we tax in this country when that's the case. And granted, I'm not well versed in it, but it just seems to make common sense to me that something is wrong. Oh, he's in studio. Imagine that.
In the flesh.
Yeah, let me clear some of my
Oh,
contraband.
it's fine. I got plenty of.
So the British Open is this week, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a story as to why Raising Cane's picked that location.
Oh, great. Okay.
It's the McDonald's plant. I don't know if you know that or not. I'll tell you. I can tell it if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's Mike 2.
I don't know if Jeremy's on here.
Jeremy, Andy is in studio. So if you're looking for a phone call, he's in here right now. So you don't have to worry about him calling in.
I didn't even see him in
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised. How was your weekend?
Okay. Golf course was a swamp.
Yeah.
The golf course we played Saturday, but the golf course was pretty much unplayable. I think I had like 8 free shots because the ball would go up to the hole and then just swim away.
Yeah. So do you normally like do the golf show at 8 and then go play? Is that
I
your
play in the
normal?
afternoon on Saturdays.
Okay.
Plays during daylight saving time. It's 1 in the standard time. They play at 12.
Okay.
And if I don't, from September to March, I don't get to play with them, but maybe 3 or 4 Saturdays. But they play. There's like between 12 and 40 of them, depending on the day and the place. And a lot of them are retired. A lot of them are so well off they don't need to work, or they need to work and they just take off whenever they feel like it. But they play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
My goodness, that must be nice.
If I could play that many days with them, I would.
Yeah.
I don't have that much time yet.
So I'll probably ask you, since you usually know the number, how many days till football season? Do you know that number?
Yeah,
Okay, I don't want to ask you unless you.
I know I could figure it out.
All right.
I have the countdown on my phone.
Are we like in the 80s? I would guess like
50s. I think maybe
we're in the 50s.
yeah, it's like 7 weeks. I think.
Wow. I think last time you mentioned it was 90 something. I thought that was recently.
It's 54 days.
54. That's crazy.
Yeah, Saturday will be 7 weeks.
Wow. All right.
Losing my self-control. Yeah, you're starting to trickle back in.
Welcome back. I'm guessing that's Katy Perry, Jeremy. Thank you.
That's a new one. I don't know this song well yet. Or newer than the ones I listened to.
Yeah, the only Katy Perry song I know is "I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It." That goes back like 15 years, probably.
That was what got her on the map.
It got my attention. I'll tell you that. He is Andy Everett. It is the Chris Duel show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, and Andy Everett in studio. Kind of a rare occurrence lately. What brings you in studio this early? Very cool. Good to have you in studio. Now, the first thing you said off the air, Shannon was telling the story of Raising Cane's. And Shannon, where's that location in Austin next to the Chick-fil-A? Where did they build that Raising Cane's that has the long lines?
Oh, it's on campus at MLK.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you go back to when Wendy's was created, Dave Thomas went to all of his location people, and he said, "Here's the plan. You're going to go scout every location, every city, every town, every metropolitan area, every nook and crack in the road that we're going to go to, and I want you to find the nearest McDonald's. Once you find the McDonald's, I want you to find the nearest piece of land to it.
Okay.
Hopefully next door to it or across the street from it, but we want to be as close to McDonald's as possible." And one of his guys said, "Why?" And he goes, "McDonald's has figured out where the traffic is. We're just going to go where they are."
Wow.
And so if you look at what Raising Cane's did with Chick-fil-A, I guarantee it's the same thing. Chick-fil-A already had the business. Okay, we're just going to go get if their line's too long, maybe they'll come to our line. And if our line's too long, they can go to theirs. But we're going to go to the location where we know everybody's at. And I remember reading an article about Dave Thomas's marketing plan, and that was find a McDonald's and find the closest tract of land next to it and build a restaurant.
As you say that, Andy, I'm thinking about the Wendy's that I used to go to when I was in high school that was just built there. It was on Bandera Road across the street from a McDonald's. And I never knew that story. That's amazing.
It's like Walgreens and CVS are always opposite each other.
Same philosophy?
Yeah.
I think so. But the person that invented that marketing or is credited with inventing that marketing concept was Dave Thomas.
Amazing.
I love a good Dave single. So way to go, Dave.
And don't forget the Frosty. I like the Frosty at Wendy's to this day. Andy Everett in studio. Andy, the voice of UTSA Athletics and host of the golf show on Ticket 760 in San Antonio, Saturday mornings at 8 in the morning. And even if you're outside San Antonio, you can get that via the iHeart Radio app. The British Open, or is it the British Open or the Open? What's the...
Technically, it's the Open.
The Open.
But we've Americanized it to the British Open because that differentiates it from the U.S. Open. But this was the first Open, so it gets it. As far as the English and the Europeans are concerned, it's the Open, and it's the golf tournament that most people outside the United States look at as the most important because of its long history.
Is that accurate though? So if you're outside the U.S., they see that as the most important. But as an American, to you, which is the most important tournament of the year? The Masters.
To me, what I enjoy watching the most is the Open Championship because I've actually got to play some of those golf courses, and I'm huge into the history of the game, and the game is different when you play over there. It's played more on the ground. The grass is different. The weather's different. It can be 3 different seasons in 3 different hours. And I really enjoy watching this, and I'll get up early Thursday through Sunday and watch all of the golf. The To me, the Masters is special because it's a golf course that none of us ever get to play, but we all know all of its intricacies. We know pretty much every hole on the golf course, but most of us have never been there, including me. I've never been. So I think the Masters is kind of kicks off the golf season. The U.S. Open has gotten better, in my opinion, over the years, but the U.S. Open to me has always been this slugfest against yourself because it's always the most difficult. I don't think it's the most fun to watch because there's not a lot of drama. It's usually the person that survives, not the person that actually wins it. It's somebody else lost it. Now, John Rahm won it this year, but most times it's somebody else faltering. But again, this year you had Louis Oosthuizen kind of losing the tournament on the 17th hole. So I think each major has its own little intricacy, but I love watching the British Open, and I think obviously the Europeans would put that I think high on their list.
Andy, big news for the British Open coming out of this past weekend. Bubba Watson pulled out due to COVID contact tracing, and Masters champion Hideki Matsuyama has pulled out because he has tested positive for coronavirus. Those two not being in the field, does that eliminate threats for anyone, or were they ever deemed favorites for this tournament?
I don't know that either were deemed favorites, but it obviously is just two more top 20 players in the world, or whatever Bubba is right now, probably top 30, that isn't going to be there. And it has to go, I think, a lot to do with obviously the virus. They don't want to get anybody sick. In Matsuyama's case, he has to play in Japan in 3 weeks in the Olympics. And so that's a priority to make sure that he's COVID clear to be able to travel back to Japan and play that. That would be a huge blow to him and to Japanese golf scene if he can't play in the Olympics. And then also the COVID protocols in Europe right now are still much more stricter than they are in the United States in regards to competition and sport. And they're pretty much the players are kind of in a lockdown bubble. It's kind of a flexible bubble, but it's still a bubble nonetheless. You're not allowed to go to bars. You're not allowed to go to restaurants. You're assigned housing, and we'll bring you food. So it's you come to the golf course, you go back to where we ask you to stay, and then you come back to the golf course, and when this is done, go home. That's kind of the reason I think why.
Anyone you look at as one of the favorites, or a group that who are the golfers to watch in the British Open?
John Rahm is playing the best golf of anybody right now. Had another good showing this week at the Scottish Open, and I don't think you can bet against him. I think Rory McIlroy is still the best golf striker, but his putting is terrible. He'll have a little bit better chance of putting on the slower greens that you have at the British Open than you do on a U.S. Open golf course or a Masters or even a PGA Tour event. And the reason why the greens are always slower at the British Open is because if the weather kicks up and they have them too fast, they have to stop the tournament. And you never know when it's going to blow 30 or 40 miles an hour, and that's kind of a normal day sometimes on those links golf courses. And if you've got green speeds that are too high, you have to stop the event. So they try to keep them fair and as fast as they can without the golf course getting out of control. And then I like those two. I always like McIlroy if he putts well. It's just that he doesn't putt well very often. But I don't think you can bet against John Rahm right now as well as he's playing.
Andy, this is the first time we're getting to speak to you since the match. Of course, Bryson DeChambeau was a major player in that, as he and Aaron Rodgers ended up defeating Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady. But the big story coming into the match wasn't the fact that Bryson was there and whether or not it should have been another PGA player, or the fact that he's got this little argument going on the side with Brooks Koepka. It was that he had just parted ways with his caddy. Is that strange to happen at this point in the golf season, right before he's heading to the major?
No, I think there's a relationship issue a lot of times with caddies and players. Vijay Singh, I think, was in a similar situation years ago. Bryson and Vijay, there's a lot of guys that just grind 24/7 on their golf games. And for some reason, and I have never figured out why this is a reason, when when your round is over on a day, a lot of players go home. But guys like Bryson and Vijay Singh go to the driving range, and they can literally be out there for 5 or 6 or 7 hours. And a lot of times their caddies go with them, I would say most of the time, and not only do they go, they're expected to go. And I haven't ever figured out why the caddy needs to go out and watch you practice. You're out there working on a certain thing. he's not your teacher. If your teacher wants to be out there, if your physio guy wants to be out there, or somebody else on your team, but send your caddy home. He's just lived for you for 4.5 hours. He doesn't want to watch you practice. He's not going to get you in any better condition. Go work on whatever you need to work on until you figure it out by yourself. And I know that reading stories from some of VJC's caddies in the past, they're like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I don't want to be here. And VJ could feel that he didn't want to be there. And then he felt like, well, you're not part of my team. I'll find somebody else that will. You have to be there for the warm up and get ready for the round and make sure the clubs are counted and you got enough balls and all that kind of stuff. But I see no reason why there needs to be a caddy afterwards. And I think with a lot of the players out there, it's like any relationship. If things start to go bad, they're going to blame it on somebody, and a lot of times the caddy gets the brunt of that. So, as abrasive as Bryson can be, and as grinding as he can be, I'm not surprised he probably will go through tons of caddies in his career.
He is Andy Everett, the host of the golf show on Ticket 760, our golf guru and the voice of UTSA athletics. Andy, you brought up in passing the Tokyo Olympics. Over the weekend, Team USA in men's basketball loses to Nigeria in an exhibition game 90-87. A few years ago in an exhibition, they beat Nigeria by 40-something points. And several years ago in the Olympics, they beat Nigeria by 83 points. How concerned should we be? Zero. Why?
This is CIA pop. It's got CIA pop written all over it. This was pre-planned. I guarantee he wanted to get their attention. Chuck Daly in 1992 with the Dream Team brought all those guys out to a college Olympic team, and the college Olympic team, or the college All-Star team beat them. And Chuck Daly went to practice next day and says, "See what happens if you don't play with a lot of intensity? You lose." And the Olympics, obviously, the reason the Dream Team was created in 1992 is because the 1988 team lost, and we were tired of losing in a sport that we basically invented. So we're going to make sure we don't ever lose again. And I think the only other time they lost was in 04 maybe, or 06, one of the, either the 04 Olympics or the 06 World Games or whatever it was. But I can certainly see this being, I don't think he threw the game, but he's not disappointed that they lost in an exhibition game because it gets everybody's attention. If they play Nigeria in the Olympics, I think you can take Nigeria and 50 points and still be concerned about whether or not you're going to win the bet or not.
Pop has said in the press availabilities from Las Vegas, and he's right, every year these international teams get better, and every Olympics they have more NBA players on them because it's becoming so much more of an international game. How confident are you, or aren't you, that Team USA can win gold in the Olympics?
Well, it's a huge upset if they don't. It's an all-star team, so all-star teams sometimes they do struggle getting into cohesion together, but they should not have an issue not winning the gold. I would be pretty shocked if they don't.
Andy Everett with us. He is also the voice of UTSA athletics. Got a couple of minutes left here, Andy. How many days till football season?
54, 7 weeks from Saturday.
54. It's amazing that we're this close to both NFL football and to college football.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be, unless UTSA has injuries, you get your tickets now, folks. This is going to be fun to watch. They were so much fun to watch last year, and they basically were working on Zoom meetings at this time a year ago and had hardly any contact, and kids were lifting water jugs for weights at their house. This is a lean machine right now, and this is going to be a good football team as long as the key players stay healthy. They have depth pretty much everywhere. Even though they don't have a lot of depth at the offensive line, they've got more depth than they've ever had there in the 10 years they played previously. This is going to be a fun year, and the only thing I'm concerned about is that every other team's going to bring their best. They know that this is not the seventh team in the West as they were voted last year. They got voted last. They got voted the worst team in the nation last year going into the season. This will be a much more improved club, and people will know about it. And I think it's going to be a fun season.
It should be a lot of fun. And, of course, Andy will have all the action for you of UTSA football here on Ticket 760 in San Antonio. Andy Everett, always outstanding, sir. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. And we'll probably be grabbing you. I think British Open's such a big deal. I think we need to draft players. And I know from you now I need to.
If you're going to do do it on Thursday. They start at 2:00 in the morning, so we may already know leaders by the time the show's on.
Wow. Okay. We'll have to think about that.
We can do an off-air draft. Little text chain.
That's positive. Yeah. All right. Maybe we'll figure this out. We got between now. We got 2 days between now and Wednesday to figure that out. Shannon, speaking of Team USA in the Olympics, that was our poll question today. What did we learn from the poll question?
From our poll question today, we're seeing that not too many people worried about that loss. 47% saying it ain't no big thing. 35% saying mildly concerned. But 17% saying it's very concerning.
So if Andy's not worried, I'm not worried. He says it's a CIA pop operation.
Chuck Daly did it in 1992, so I'm sure that it's gonna happen again.
They take on Patty Mills in Australia tonight. We'll see how they do tonight. That's 7:00 on the NBC Sports Network. Jeremy Fouts, great job, sir. Thank you very much.
I will see you guys tomorrow.
That's right. Jeremy's back tomorrow. Shannon, spectacular as always. Thank you.
Thank you. I love when you're here, Jeremy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And our thanks to Andy Everett, the voice of UTSA Athletics. As I mentioned, Team USA in basketball tonight against Australia. We'll see how that goes. We will join you again in 21 hours. Have yourself a great Monday. Adios, amigos.